I call on the purveyors of these lies and misinformation to stop it. Stop it now.
Fact-checkers took a major hit in 2020 when the viral film Plandemic 2: Indoctrination, produced by Mickey Willis, aimed at sites on Snopes and effectively exposed them as a highly questionable outlet.
The husband and wife duo of David and Barbara Mickelson founded Snopes.com in 1995. They had no journalism background or training whatsoever. They built their fact-checking empire by using Google as their primary verifying source. The Mickelsons divorced in 2015. Barbara sued David for embezzling money that he had allegedly spent on prostitutes, as well as a lavish honeymoon with his new wife, who worked as an escort in Las Vegas before joining the Snopes cast of characters. In 2017, David Mickelson's new business partners filed a lawsuit accusing Mickelson of multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. Snopes proclaims to be the internet's go-to source for discerning what is true and what is total nonsense. Yet one glance at their history of fact-free checking tells another story. When Dr. Mikovits claimed she was arrested without a warrant and jailed without a charge, Snopes rated her statement false. Had they bothered to explore the arrest documents, they would have seen that indeed there was neither a warrant nor signatures to officiate a charge.
The Plandemic film goes on to shed more light on organizations like the Poynter Institute, PolitiFact, and factcheck.org. We encourage everyone to watch the entire Plandemic series at plandemicseries.com. While we're on the topic of conflicts of interest, one of the largest corporate fact-checking outlets in the world is the media giant Thomson Reuters. Looking at Reuters' leadership team, you see James C. Smith, currently listed as chairman of the Thomson Reuters Foundation, the charity organization under the Reuters umbrella. Smith became the president and CEO of Reuters in 2012, and then, in February of 2020, stepped down and took the position of chairman of the charitable side of the business. Looking a bit deeper, you see that Smith also currently sits on the board of directors at pharmaceutical juggernaut Pfizer.
Well.
Do you think he is invested in protecting the mainstream narrative? In a recent interview, we talked to the founder of the Free Thought Project, Jason Bassler, where he illuminated us about his frequent battles with fact-checking services.
You kind of can't just roll over and take it. Like, you really do have to try to appeal. The way that works with Facebook is that they have, hired third-party independent fact-checkers, fact-checkers. And so if you have one of your pieces of content fact-checked by them, you actually have to email them, PolitiFact or USA Today or whoever it is, and try to appeal with them, which seems strange to me. It seems like a complete conflict of interest, because how many of these guys are going to admit that they're wrong? How many of these guys have their own internal biases and agendas, built in? And some of them probably aren't even conscious of them. It's just the way they are. But there have been a few wins, I guess you could say. We've had some overturned, and always feels nice when that happens. But there's some that are really bad, lead stories. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with those guys, but CNN writer, I think is the guy who founded it. The fact that they have control over our success and how well our articles are performed on different social media platforms. I mean, to me, it's just mind-blowing. But I think at the end of the day, it looks good for these mainstream social media platforms that they're fact-checking, that they're stopping misinformation. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Recently, more fact-checking sites have been exposed as being not only harmful and dishonest, but that they are not factual at all, merely opinion. In September of 2021, journalist John Stossel filed suit against Facebook Incorporated, along with fact-check organizations Science Feedback and Climate Feedback, listed as two French non-profit organizations that provide fact-checking services for Facebook.
Yet absurdly, this is who Facebook partners with to certify who will censor all of us. One so-called fact-checker Poynter approved is this group, Science Feedback, run by this man who says his censors will cleanse the internet.
Tous vos enfants pourront surfer en toute tranquillité sur des vagues d'informations crédibles.
He's the censor-in-chief.
In one of the court documents filed by attorneys representing Facebook, now known as Meta, a claim was made that Stossel's assertions do not implicate Facebook. Rather, they only cover the third-party reporting conducted by fact-checking organization Climate Feedback. The court document states, Quote, Stossel's claims focus on the fact-check articles written by Climate Feedback, not the labels affixed through the Facebook platform. The labels themselves are neither false nor defamatory. To the contrary, they constitute protected opinion.
What?
Facebook fact-check labels constitute protected opinion? Interesting. Debunking debunkers has been around for a while. This is not just a post-COVID phenomenon. In a 2016 piece analyzing the bias and accuracy of PolitiFact, Matt Shapiro of the Paradox Project lays out some of the methods used by these fact-checkers to create straw man arguments and other various deceptions, including, quote, sentence alteration, simple misstatements, fact-checking the wrong fact, and even taking a statement, rewording it, and fact-checking the reworded statement instead of the original quoted statement. Recently, the esteemed British Medical Journal zeroed in on fact-checking foul play by focusing on Lead Stories, a questionable outlet that clearly has an agenda. In November 2021, the British Medical Journal brought to light claims by a whistleblower named Brooke Jackson, who came forward with information about Pfizer's COVID mRNA gene therapy clinical trials. Jackson stated that Ventavia, the company hired to run the clinical trials, was guilty of compromising the study due to poor laboratory management, patient safety concerns, and data integrity issues. When people began sharing this BMJ paper via social media, Facebook slapped a missing context label on it, throttling its visibility and shadow banned posts that included the paper. On December 17, 2021, the British Medical Journal published an open letter to Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, presenting their argument as to why this fact-check has no credibility and should be removed. The BMJ claims that the Lead Stories fact-check used deceptive tricks in order to besmirch the claims made by Brooke Jackson and the BMJ as a whole. Some of these claims include, the fact-check fails to provide any assertions of fact that the BMJ article got wrong. It has a nonsensical title, quote, Fact Check, the British Medical Journal did not reveal disqualifying, and ignored reports of flaws in Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine trials. The first paragraph inaccurately labels the BMJ a news blog. It contains a screenshot of our article with a stamp over it stating flaws reviewed, despite the Lead Stories article not identifying anything false or untrue in the BMJ article. It published the story on its website under a URL that contains the phrase, hoax alert. It has been known for a while that entities heavily invested in the overall agenda, such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, actually provide funding to these media organizations. In November 2021, Alan McLeod with Mint Press News reported that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is on record providing hundreds of millions of dollars to media outlets. Organizations like PolitiFact, the Poynter Institute, and news outlet NPR are open about receiving these funds. Collectively, Snopes, Reuters, PolitiFact, the Poynter Institute, Facebook, and all of these institutions run cover so that the agenda can steamroll forward uninhibited. If it wasn't for censorship, deplatforming, and scandalous fact-checking, there is no way that the mainstream narrative would hold up under scrutiny or under rigorous debate. It is not to say that false information does not get shared among alternative circles. We have to be vigilant in verifying the information that we share. Our standards need to be higher than that of the corporate media as we continue to make them irrelevant and become things of the past. For links on how to follow and support the Truthzilla podcast, make sure you visit truthzilla.org. We wish all of you intellectual prosperity.